How do we know that what we believe is true? Most of us rarely stop to ask that question. We grow up surrounded by ideas, traditions, beliefs, and assumptions. We learn them from our families, our communities, our cultures, and our experiences. Over time, they become part of the way we see the world. There is nothing unusual about that. It is part of being human. But there is a danger when we become so certain of what we already believe that we stop examining it. What if one of the greatest obstacles to finding truth is our certainty that we already possess it? More than a century ago, Abdu'l-Bahá addressed this question in a talk in Paris. He spoke about what he called the independent search after truth. His starting point was challenging. If we really want to find truth, we have to be willing to examine the beliefs and assumptions we have inherited. That doesn't mean rejecting everything we learned from the past. Traditions can carry wisdom across generations. But inherited beliefs should not be beyond examination. We need to be able to ask ourselves, why do I believe this? What evidence supports it? Have I considered other possibilities? And what would I do if I discovered that I was wrong? Psychology helps explain why this can be difficult. We naturally pay more attention to information that supports what we already believe, while sometimes overlooking evidence that challenges us. This is known as confirmation bias. There is also motivated reasoning. Our hopes, loyalties, fears, and existing commitments can influence the way we evaluate information. None of us is completely immune to this. And that's why searching for truth requires more than intelligence. It requires a certain kind of humility. Abdu'l-Bahá used the image of a chalice to describe it. If our chalice is full of self, there is no room in it for the water of life. It's an image worth sitting with. A cup that is already full cannot receive anything more. The same can happen to the mind. If I approach every question already convinced that I possess the whole truth, there isn't much room left for discovery. Psychologists today sometimes speak about a related quality called intellectual humility. It doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It doesn't mean abandoning your convictions or believing that every opinion is equally valid. It simply means recognizing the limits of your own knowledge. I may be wrong. I may not have all the information. Someone who disagrees with me may see something that I have missed. That willingness to reconsider is not weakness. It is part of an honest search. But an open mind doesn't mean an uncritical mind. Searching for truth does not mean accepting every claim we encounter. It doesn't mean abandoning logic, evidence, or careful reasoning. Quite the opposite. If we genuinely want to know what is true, we have to examine evidence. We have to question assumptions. We have to listen carefully. And when the evidence points somewhere we didn't expect, we have to be willing to follow it. Abdu'l-Bahá placed great importance on reason and science. The underlying principle is that truth cannot ultimately contradict truth. When reliable evidence teaches us something about reality, our other beliefs should be willing to take that evidence seriously. So the challenge is to remain open without becoming gullible, and thoughtful without becoming rigid. There is another part of the search that may be even harder. We have to be willing to recognize truth when it comes from somewhere unfamiliar. Abdu'l-Bahá used several beautiful images to make this point. Light is still light, regardless of the lamp from which it shines. A rose is still beautiful, regardless of the garden in which it blooms. A star has the same radiance, whether we see it in the east or the west. Truth doesn't depend on where it comes from. Something doesn't become false simply because it comes from outside our group. And something doesn't become true simply because it comes from within it. Imagine what would happen if we carried that attitude into our everyday conversations. Instead of immediately asking, how do I prove this person wrong? We might first ask, what are they seeing that I'm not? Instead of listening only to people who already agree with us, we might deliberately seek out thoughtful perspectives that challenge our own. And when we encounter evidence that makes us uncomfortable, Instead of immediately dismissing it, we might ask why it makes us uncomfortable. One useful question is, what evidence would change my mind? If the answer is nothing, then we may no longer be searching for truth. We may simply be defending a position. This doesn't mean that every disagreement has a middle ground, or that every claim deserves equal weight. Some claims are supported by strong evidence, others are not. The goal isn't to avoid conclusions. The goal is to reach conclusions honestly, while remaining willing to revise them when there is good reason to do so. That takes courage. Sometimes the search for truth leads us back to what we already believed, but with a deeper understanding of why we believe it. Sometimes it changes our mind. Sometimes it shows us that the truth is more complicated than either side of an argument had imagined. And sometimes we discover that someone very different from us has been carrying a piece of the truth that we needed to hear. This is where the search after truth becomes more than an intellectual exercise. It begins to affect the way we see one another. Prejudice becomes harder to maintain when we are genuinely willing to listen. Dogmatism becomes harder to defend when we recognize the limits of our own understanding. And the boundaries between us and them begin to look less certain when we discover wisdom, goodness, and truth in unexpected places. For Abdu'l-Bahá, the independent search after truth was therefore connected to something much larger: human unity. If we strip away prejudice, inherited hostility, and attachment to labels, we may begin to discover that reality itself does not belong to any one group. Truth is not mine or yours. It isn't Eastern or Western. It isn't diminished by the language in which it is spoken or the culture in which it appears. Truth is truth, and truth is one. Perhaps that's why the search matters so much. We don't have to be certain before we begin. We just have to be willing to look honestly, to listen carefully, and to admit that there may still be something for us to learn. This is a personal educational reflection inspired by Abdu'l-Bahá's talks in Paris. It is not an official interpretation of the Bahá'í writings. The invitation is to investigate these ideas for yourself. So I'll leave you with one question. If your chalice is already full, what is one assumption you could set aside today to make room for something new? Keep seeking, stay curious, and with an open, ready mind, let the search for truth begin.